Hello, I'm 80s Obsessed and welcome to my channel.
You are an obsession, you're my obsession. Who do you want me to make you sleep with you? You are an obsession, you're my obsession. Who do you want me to...
So today we're doing 10 reasons why I love cassette tapes. So much went into doing a mixtape. You had to decide what your mixtape was going to be about. Then you had to decide what songs were actually going to go onto your mixtape. You had to then find those songs on your cassettes. You had to put those songs in order. Which one came first, which one come next, which one's going to come last. Then you had to put the cassette actually into the cassette player. You had to find the song, and then you could start doing your mixtape. It was such a time-consuming labour of love, but it was so much fun and just such a joy to actually produce this mixtape at the end. And then of course you had to put all of your hard work onto the inlay card. You would write down every single song that was on side A and side B and in the order in which it came, and then you would have to give your mixtape a name on it as well. So if you're doing it for somebody, you would maybe put their name on it or something along those lines. And then, you know, you would have to actually put a little label onto your cassette as well, so that you don't lose it and you know which tape that is and which mixtape that is. And it was a joy. I loved doing mixtapes. Doing the mixtape was not just about putting songs onto your tape. You had to be technical. You had to make sure that you had the cassette in the right place, because otherwise it would miss half of the song. So you had to use your pen. A biro is perfect for this, and move the actual tape along to the right place. You had to make sure that the little tabs on the top of the cassette were in place. If those weren't in place, if they were pushed in, you couldn't record onto the tape. So if they were pushed in, you had to put some sticky tape on them so that you could actually record. Who remembers trying to record the top 40? It was such a challenge, trying to find the exact point when the DJ was going to stop talking or when he was going to start talking again, and finger hovering over the pause button to get it just right so that your mixtape had no talking on it whatsoever. You can't love cassettes without loving cassette players. They came in so many different shapes and sizes. They started off with your single cassette, then they went on to your twin cassette where you could do recordings. They had microphones so you could record your voice. You had your Walkman, you had your ghetto blasters. My personal favourite was the MIDI system. I absolutely loved my MIDI system. It had a radio, it had twin cassette, had a record player, it had so many features. It was just absolutely awesome. But of course we didn't stop there. We had to add a cassette to our clock radio. You know, we don't want to just wake up with the radio, we want to wake up to our own personal music. You can just stack them all together and you can see exactly what you have really easily, and they're just very nice and uniformed and perfect. The sound they make when you open up the cassette tape and you get that little hingy noise, you know what I'm talking about. And of course the cassette, it rattles. Now, not all cassette players actually have this, but I know that definitely a lot of the Walkmans did. There's a little button that if you just push it to one side, the tape would automatically change sides. None of this opening it up or pressing eject, taking the tape out, turning it around, put it back in. No. Press this little button and it gets to the end of the tape, automatically switch, and it plays the other side. Cassette tapes, you have the cassette cover, and when you take that out, not all of them had it, but most of them near the end of the 80s take that out, unfold it, and you would have all the lyrics to all of the songs on the album. Bliss. But of course Madonna had to take it one step further. On her Like a Prayer album, she had information about AIDS, and she also infused her albums with a scent. At the time, back in the 80s, we did actually think it was her favourite perfume, but apparently if you do a little web search, apparently it's actually infused with a patchouli oil. Yes, I know, we used to be able to listen to music in the car before we would listen to the radio, but we had records. You can't play records in the car. So when we had cassette tapes, and if you were lucky enough and had enough money that you were able to actually purchase a cassette player for your car, you could listen to whatever music that you wanted to listen to, and it was amazing. Of course, you did have to try and, like with all cassette tapes, you had to try and find the exact track, and there would be a lot of pushing buttons back and forth because you would go too far, but it was still amazing that you could listen to your own music in the car. And I even remember there was quite a few young lads in their Ford Escorts that would even have a graphic equalizer in their car. Class. Anybody that has records or remembers having records, as soon as you knock that record player just a little bit and that needle will just jump across the record. That doesn't happen with cassettes. Obviously later on in the 80s we had CD players and we had Discmans and that kind of thing, and again CDs, they jump. So that is what's really amazing about cassettes. And anybody that had a Walkman, you would be able to take your music with you. You could go jogging, you could go running, and it had a little clip on there that you could just pop onto your waistband, and the cassette didn't jump. As I said, later on in the 80s we had the CD, so we had the Discman, which was the CD version of the Walkman. But the Discman was just so big it wouldn't fit on your waistband, and even if you were able to get it on your waistband, as soon as you just took 2 steps it would come off and fall on the floor. So a lot of them actually had a shoulder strap so that you could take it with you, but again, as soon as you did some running or some jogging, the disc jumped. So that's my top 10 reasons why I love cassettes. Do you love cassettes as well? Do you prefer records? Do you prefer CDs? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear about it, and if I've not covered a good reason for loving cassettes, I would love to know what your reasons are too. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please do, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.